The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip. From now on, women's sports will be only for women.
As President Trump nears a month in office, his landmark executive orders continue to make headlines. The U.S. president seemed to go frenzied against all odds. As if deportations of illegal migrants were not enough, his statement on the Gaza takeover brought shockwaves to the world. Meanwhile, tariff bombs on Canada and Mexico almost rocked the two states. Trump also went on to sanction the International Criminal Court and laid off hundreds of employees from USAID. Let's watch the Trump administration's top developments that kept the world on edge before it's not even 30 days.
Tomorrow, the February 1st deadline that President Trump put into place at a statement several weeks ago continues. The president will be implementing tomorrow a 25% tariffs on Mexico, 25% tariffs on Canada, and a 10% tariff on China for the illegal fentanyl that they have sourced and allowed to distribute into our country, which has killed tens of millions of Americans. These are promises made and promises kept by the president.
We've had good relationships, but we have to stop fentanyl from coming in, whether I like somebody or not, and we have to stop the illegal aliens from coming in. I think we've lost 200,000 people on average a year for many years, much higher than the 100,000. It could be even closer to 300,000. And they've agreed to put in 10,000 soldiers permanently, like forever, 10,000 soldiers at their side of the border and stop fentanyl and illegal aliens from coming into our country. They have a big incentive to do. The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it, too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings, level it out, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area.
Donald Trump on February 1st said he ordered military airstrikes on the senior Islamic State attack planner and other members of the militant group, killing many of them in Somalia. Taking to social media, he said these killers, who we found hiding in caves, threatened the United States and our allies. The strikes destroyed the caves they live in and killed many terrorists without, in any way, harming civilians.
In light of numerous actions taken by a number of bodies of the United Nations, which exhibit a deep anti-American bias, we have an executive order prepared for your attention that would withdraw the United States from the UN Human Rights Council, would withdraw the United States from the UNRWA, which is a refugee organization, and would also review American involvement in UNESCO, which has also exhibited anti-American bias. More generally, the executive order calls for a review of American involvement and funding in the UN in light of the wild disparities in levels of funding among different countries that, as you've expressed previously, is deeply unfair to the United States.
So I've always felt that the UN has tremendous potential. It's not living up to that potential right now. It really isn't, hasn't for a long time. It has, there are great hopes for it, but it's not being well run, to be honest, and they're not doing the job. A lot of these conflicts that we're working on should be settled, or at least we should have some help in settling them. We never seem to get help. That should be the primary purpose of the UN, the United Nations. And again, it's got great potential, and based on the potential, we'll continue to go along with it, but they got to get their act together.
What would they need to do, sir, to get their act together?
Well, they got to be fair to countries that deserve fairness. They have some countries, as you know, that are outliers, that are very bad, and they're being almost preferred as countries to those that do their job and are doing a good job. And they have to really, they're going to end up losing, a lot of countries are going to end up losing their credibility like other organizations, and then they're going to be nothing. The potential of the United Nations, and not everybody agrees with me on this, the potential of the United Nations is fantastic if properly run. So we'll see what happens.
How much money are you willing to take away from that?
Well, we're taking away a little bit, but we're not looking to take away money. This is so important that we're really, as you know, the United Nations is largely funded by us. But, and it shouldn't be, it should be funded by everybody, but we're disproportionate, as we always seem to be. But it's something that if it ever lived up to the potential, in 10 minutes it would make up the difference. That's the kind of power it could have. Right now it doesn't have that power.
The first flight carrying detained, undocumented migrants landed at Guantanamo Bay. Around 10 migrants were transported to Guantanamo Bay on a military aircraft. The Trump administration stated that the flight carried alleged members of the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua, but did not disclose specific charges or convictions. Critics argue that deporting migrants to Guantanamo may be illegal and could limit detainees' access to legal representation.
Under the Trump administration, we will defend the proud tradition of female athletes, and we will not allow men to beat up, injure, and cheat our women and our girls. From now on, women's sports will be only for women. Female athletes have been forced onto the front lines, and men claiming to be girls have stolen more than 3,500 victories. That's a lot. And invaded more than 11,000 competitions designed for women.
U.S. government ships can now use the Panama Canal for free. That was according to the State Department on February 5th. It said the agreement would save the U.S. government millions in fees each year. There was no immediate comment on the claim from the Panama Canal Authority. But the news comes with the waterway becoming a focal point for Donald Trump's new administration. The Trump administration plans to keep fewer than 300 USAID staff out of over 10,000 worldwide, according to Reuters sources. The sources said only 294 agency staff would keep their jobs. The USAID website stated that as of midnight on Friday, all direct hires will be on leave except for key personnel and critical programs. Hundreds of internal contractors have been laid off, and life-saving programs around the globe have been left in limbo. The United States President Donald Trump is considering merging the U.S. Agency for International Development with the State Department to boost its efficiency and ensure that its spending is in line with his administration's agenda, a senior White House official said. President Trump has entrusted Elon Musk to oversee the efficiency of this agency, said the official, speaking on the condition of anonymity. He added that there were discussions about sending a notification to the U.S. Congress to inform lawmakers of the administration's plans. USAID's acting director, Marco Rubio, said that it is going to end when talking about its shutdown.
I'm the acting director of USAID. I've delegated that authority to someone, but I stay in touch with him. And so the functions of USAID, there are a lot of functions of USAID that are going to continue, that are going to be part of American foreign policy, but it has to be aligned with American foreign policy. And this is not my frustration. This frustration has existed now for almost a quarter century, and multiple administrations that have gone through this challenge. It's going to stop and it's going to end.
Amid the all-round crackdown against possible threats to the United States and its allies, President Donald Trump on February 6th authorized economic and travel sanctions on the International Criminal Court. The sanctions would target the people who work on International Criminal Court investigations of American citizens or U.S. allies such as Israel. The move coincides with a visit to Washington by Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who, along with his former defense minister and a leader of the Palestinian militant group Hamas, is wanted by the ICC over the war in the Gaza Strip. The International Criminal Court issued arrest warrants in November 2024 for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his former defense chief, as well as a Hamas leader, Ibrahim al-Masri, for alleged war crimes and crimes against humanity in the Gaza conflict. Taking to social media, United President Donald Trump said that there was no need for Joe Biden to continue receiving access to classified information, and therefore his security clearances were immediately revoked and his daily intelligence briefings were stopped. Trump said he set this precedent in 2021 when he instructed the intelligence community, IC, to stop the 45th President of the United States from accessing details on national security, a courtesy provided to former presidents. Citing the Her report, Trump said that Biden suffers from poor memory and, even in his prime, could not be trusted with sensitive information.
Have Have you directed Elon Musk to review Pentagon spending, given it's the biggest discretionary spending
Yes, I
in the
have
federal
Pentagon, education, just about everything. We're going to go through everything, just as it was so bad with what we just went through with this horrible situation we just went through. And I guess 97% of the people have been dismissed. It was very, very unfortunate. You're not going to find anything like that, but you're going to find a lot. And I've instructed him to go check out education, to check out the Pentagon, which is the military. And, sadly, you'll find some things that are pretty bad. But I don't think proportionally you're going to see anything like we just saw.
Your FBI has turned over a list to the Justice Department of the FBI agents who worked on the January 6 rioters cases. Are you planning to fire the FBI agents who worked on those investigations?
No, but I'll fire some of them because some of them were corrupt. I have no doubt about that. I got to know a lot about that business, that world. I got to know a lot about that world, that we had some corrupt agents, and those people are gone, or they will be gone, and it'll be done quickly and very surgically.